28 Aprili 2019 ni katika viwanja vya Chamazi na dimba la Taifa jijini Dar es Salaam. Wa Tanzania, tujitokeze kwa wingi kuishangilia timu yetu. Serengeti Boys ni vijana wetu. Serengeti Boys wanapeperusha bendera ya taifa letu. Serengeti Boys tunatoboa mpaka kombe la dunia.
News tonight. President Magufuli launches a corn processing factory. Kidnapped American tourist in Uganda freed. Minister Mwakembe impressed with infrastructure to be used for AFCON Under-17 championships. Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. The President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, has launched a corn processing company that costs more than 400 million shillings with the ability of processing 5,280 tons of corn per year in Songea District, Ruvuma region, where he said that the factory will aid in attaining the nation's goal to become a middle-income economy and for farmers to get certain markets for their corn.
The aim of the fifth phase government is to make our country rich middle economy led by industrial sector. By constructing this industry, Mlale JKT have agreed to the government's call of building our country in an industrial economy. Every year, our country loses 40% of crops produced due to inadequacy of markets, warehouses, or its storage that may lead to losses. But through this industry, farmers are now sure of the market for their maize. I believe you will give farmers good prices. The National Service Army proceeds with the introduction of industries as much as possible. We will continue to do this in different areas of the National Service Army and its bases, as you have insisted to contribute your efforts on the industrial policy in the country. This factory expects to provide a stable market for the maize crops produced by the people who live around here, as well as Ruvuma region in general. There is a plan for sunflower industries, a plan for cashew crushing industries, as well as many industries for agricultural, pastoral, and fish products. By achieving this, we can finally be independent. The main thing is we intend to remove dependency of youth empowerment in the main government budget.
5 robbers have died in a fire exchange with police in Korogwe district after their attempt to go and rob the salaries of employees of Sisal Farms from a Toronto company in the district failed.
Our police officers with high performance, as guided by the district head investigator, Assistant Superintendent Samson Mwandambo, was wearing this about the bandits fail to injure him, were able to catch this huge armor, a shotgun, and its 5 bullets, which are here. After checking them, they were also able to seize this small gun, a pistol, which uses shotgun bullets. We should also be cooperative. If one finds a person who is not familiar, please report to the police. I would like to ask the Mombo people to cooperate with police force in case of issues such as this one, so that such kind of incidents should not occur again.
Members of the Parliament of the United Republic of Tanzania have asked the government in this year's 2019-2020 budget to ensure they remove investor complaints, set good employment systems, and to ensure social services are available so that people can see the value of life.
Nafanya standard gauge.
20% of the labor force in the standard gauge project are Tanzanians. 80% of the employees are Turkish. And still we say that the project will provide employment opportunities for Tanzanians. Maybe we should say rather the Tanzanians will get small opportunities such as being local food providers and other smaller roles. The president has made sure that we get our own airline, and this has brought us huge respect. People are not saying it, but the income increases as well as the number of tourists to the country. We need to change the education policy in our country. With regards to the vocational training issue, we need to check all the vocational training colleges differently.
Moving
from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma is like conducting a war. When one goes to war, the money is not refunded. If the funds were put into the financial cycle and worked there, it would have had more profit than shifting to Dodoma. I have to say that investors have had a very hard time. For example, a regional commissioner, a district commissioner, a TBS officer, a TIFTA officer, and you will find that all of these people whom I've just mentioned have the authority of arresting an investor. We cannot have a model of industries without knowing which industries in particular can help us to fulfill our goal of industrializing our economy. In my opinion, since 75% of people in this country are farmers, then perhaps the best model would be that of industries which are related to agriculture.
Previously, during the question and answer session, MPs were able to ask various questions as well as receive answers from the government.
He says that the information that we have is wrong. Honorable Deputy Speaker, please let me read the MP's question. If you check section B, he wants to know the streets in Kibama constituency that have no water. Now, if you as the MP do not know where there's water in your own area, then how then can you ask me who's the minister? If you compare Igunga with other areas, there have been many pipes and dispensaries that have been worked upon. We have already requested for a permit from the minister in the president's office for labor and public service so that we can get labor and health specialists in these areas for the services to be provided.
The prosecution has called 6 witnesses in the case facing the former chief accountant of the Prevention and Combating of Corruption Bureau, PCCB, and 3 others, and is expected to provide evidence before Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court in the money laundering, forgery, and possession of property outside their financial means charges.
For the resident magistrate, Thomas Simba, the state prosecutor Awamo Mbagawa asked the court to set 2 consecutive dates to hear the case where they plan on presenting 6 witnesses. Following the request, Magistrate Simba explained to both sides that the court will ensure that all witnesses are heard, and he then adjourned the case to April 24th of this year. Apart from Godfrey Gugai, the other accused in the case are George Makaranga, Leonard Alois, and Yasin Katera.
The police force in Dodoma region has today banned protests that are allegedly being planned by ACT Wazalendo and other opposition parties in order to force the parliament to dismiss their plan not to work with the Controller and Auditor General, Professor Assad.
I would like to say that I have heard that there are reports on social media saying that ACT Wazalendo and other political parties are planning to stage a demonstration on April 9th this year in Dodoma. I must say very sternly that if those reports on social media are true, then I must warn those political parties that if they indeed demonstrate on the streets tomorrow, they will be beaten up severely, and I hope that they are listening to my warning. I would like to advise all political parties to protect the peace that we have here in our country and not to take any action which would jeopardize that peace.
The High Court in Moshi has continued to listen to the testimony of witnesses in the case of murder against the former Form 2 student Humphrey Makundi at the Scholastica Secondary School, which is located in Moshi District, Kilimanjaro region.
On November 6, 2017, Humphrey Makundi was alleged to have been murdered and his body was thrown into River Gona, which is located 300 meters away from the Scholastica Secondary School. In the case, the seventh witness, Samueli Tesha, who works as a burial and cleaning employee of the Moshi Municipal Cemetery, explained to the court that the body which he received on November 12, 2017, at Mawenzi Referral Hospital of the Kilimanjaro region is the same body which was exhumed from a grave at the Karanga Cemetery in Moshi on November 17, 2017. Mr. Tesha said that the driver, who was driving a municipal car alongside a worker who worked at the mortuary chamber of Mawenzi Hospital, took the body and buried it at the Karanga Cemetery in Moshi. The witness also told the court that around November 17, 2017, he participated in the exhumation of the body from the Karanga Cemetery, and following that, he washed it and then sent the body to the KCMC Referral Hospital for an autopsy to be carried out. The eighth witness in the case, Inspector Victor Shamaraza, explained to the court that the deceased was found with 2 socks, a vest, and underwear after he had been exhumed from his grave. In addition, the inspector said that after the body was sent to the KCMC Referral Hospital, he, in partnership with a team of 3 doctors, together took part in an autopsy to test for DNA samples. Following the completion of their testing, witnesses claimed that they were then told that the body which they had exhumed from the Karanga Cemetery and from which they had taken DNA samples was related to a certain Mr. Jackson Makundi and his wife, Ms. Joyce Makundi. As it so happens, Jackson Makundi and his wife Joyce Makundi are the parents of the secondary school student Humphrey Makundi. As it so happens, Jackson Makundi and his wife Joyce Makundi are the parents of the secondary school student Humphrey Makundi. It should be noted that the case numbered 48 of 2018 is being contested by 4 state prosecutors led by the state's senior prosecutor Joseph Pandey, as well as Abdallah Chavula, Omari Kibwana, and Lucy Kusa. Meanwhile, the defense team is being represented by the leading lawyer in the case, David Shiratu, Elikunda Kipoko, Ruwakiza Sambo, and Patrick Paul.
The Minister for Livestock and Fisheries, Luhaga Mpinas, promised to present to the government the requests of livestock keepers, which they had intended to reach President Dr. John Magufuli. In these requests, the livestock keepers have asked the government to either cancel outright or to carry out a review of laws which they describe as oppressive, such as the law of transportation of livestock.
We are calling on the government to make amendments on law punishment of confiscation of cattle in the country, as millions of livestock keepers in Tanzania have remained poor from the punishments, with more than 200 billion shillings being incurred as fine. Reviewing of laws is necessary so that they can be user-friendly, and on the section of punishment of wildlife law of 2009, there should be an alternative punishment instead of confiscation. I believe that this has been a cry to all pastoralists. Thank you for presenting the matter to me. I will definitely work on it and find solution. together with the government leaders. We have conducted these special trainings for specialists and pastoralists. It is important that everybody involved in this sector should attend.
And that is all for national news. International news is next. And in international news, an American tourist and her guide have been released in Uganda after being kidnapped for 6 days. Kimberly Sue, as well as her guide, who is a national of the DRC, were kidnapped by an armed group on Tuesday at Queen Elizabeth National Park.
We are very pleased to inform Ugandans that Kimberly Sue and a Congolese citizen have been safely rescued by the Uganda Security Department. However, we are also grateful for all those who participated in efforts of rescuing these people.
Hilary Nzioki Mtiambai has been sworn in and officially taken the position of the Inspector General of Police in Kenya during a ceremony conducted today at the Supreme Court. Mtiambai takes the place of Joseph Boynet, who completed his 4-year term in March 15th of this year.
As I assume the office of the Inspector General, I am conversant with the security threats our country still faces, especially the threat of terrorism, organized crime, corruption, cattle rustling, among others. Enhancing our collaboration and multi-agency approach still remains the best way to tackle these contemporary challenges. And I want to promise that we will deepen our relations with our partner security agencies and the criminal justice system to make sure that as we enforce the law, those who break the law are served with justice in a fair manner.
Indeed, as you assume office, Mr. Mtiambai, Kenyans expect you to leverage on the positive changes that have been made and ensure the improvement of security for Wanjiku and other police services. Indeed, the oath of office and affirmation that you have just taken and subscribed to before me binds you to obey, respect and uphold the Constitution of Kenya and all the other commitments that have been made to the Kenyans by the National Police Service.
Having been appointed member of the National Police Service Commission under the National Police Service Commission Act of 2011, do swear that I will at all times obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution of Kenya.
The ruling party Jubilee in Kenya have commended the win by 2 MPs elected by citizens in the by-elections at Ugenya and Embakasi area.
I am happy of people in Nyanza and even Nairobi because their faith to people that they voted for shows how much strength they have politically. Time has come now that people should be respected from leadership decisions they make, regardless of the political party they choose. This shows obviously that the era of people driven into believing to certain parties' ideologies are better than others is over. I would like to send a message to our fellows from NASA. People of Embakasi have revealed their faith to a leader who is protecting interests of the poor, and I assure the public that 2022 will be a year of change. This is just the beginning. As Jubilee leaders, we are telling our fellow politicians that they should prepare themselves well. Time for games is over.
And that is all for international news. Do stay with us. We'll be back with business news after this break.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
To be rich, I have to be a business person.
It's not an easy road at all.
People need to understand. You must quickly think how cost effective are you going to be.
Business acts as a way in which it can bridge that gap.
Business Edition will keep you informed on latest developments in the financial sector, extractive industry, tourism, agriculture, energy, construction, and so much more. Meet entrepreneurs who create employment opportunities. Watch Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
In business news. The Minister of Industry and Trade, Joseph Kakunda, has directed the Small Industries Development Organization, SIDO, to fulfill the aim of its inception, which is to develop small-scale industries and to provide loans in form of machines and equipment when needed by entrepreneurs.
Bodi ya SIDO leo.
As I said while launching SIDO board today, there is no developed country in the world that has been successful today without contribution of small-scale industries. Small Industries Development Organization SIDO is the backbone of industries in this country. This means that it is important to develop small industries.
Kuendeleza viwanda vidogo vidogo.
Ujao tutakuwa na kikao cha siku 3.
Next month, we shall have a 3-day meeting to review the strategic plan so that we can be sure of where we are heading to. Our expectations are that SIDO officials will bear with us by being very supportive to this board.
Lakini pia mtakuwa very supportive kwa bodi.
Tanzania Bureau of Standards (TBS) has run an operation in Mara to remove from the market goods of poor quality and successfully caught second-hand undergarments at Nyasha Main Clothing Market in Musoma Municipal Council.
According to laws that governs this country, all products that have been burned must be seized and destroyed for the purpose of protecting health of Tanzanians. We have been saying this for a very long time now, as well as providing education to traders and users of their second-hand clothes so that they will cooperate in this exercise. I am personally apprehending efforts done by TBS because it could be true that these second-hand clothes are hazardous to our health. However, my opinion is that items like socks and undergarments are bad to our health. How about clothes like shirts and trousers? And the rest? Probably they are also bad too. I would like to urge the government to generally ban second-hand clothes in this country since they are threatening our health.
Officers of the National Microfinance Bank NMB and Tanzania Revenue Authority TRA have met with entrepreneurs from Ubungo and Kinondoni district with the aim of providing education on various tax, storage of business receipts and loans and advise them not to fear taking out loans in order to grow their businesses.
NMB is providing loans for increasing capital, which we call short-term loan. We also provide loans for establishing industries. In this world, there is nobody who has prospered without taking loans, because all successful business people started business by daring to take loans.
And that is all for business news. Sports is next.
Hi, my name is Kotaro Tokuda. What's up? My name is Céline Garnier.
I'm John Barnes from Liverpool Football Club. The hip, hop, the hip, the hip, the hip, 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 hop. You don't stop the rockin' to the bang bang boogie. Say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear?
I'm watching Sports Gazette. I'm watching Sport Gazette.
And you're watching Sports Gazette
with Sebastian.
With Sebastian. Peace out.
Yes! And you can also watch Sports Gazette for highlights and interviews regarding sports. Do not miss Sports Gazette every Wednesday at 7 p.m. only on Capital Television.
And on to sports news. The Minister for Information, Arts, Culture and Sports, Dr. Harrison Mwakembe, has visited and inspected the infrastructure that will be used in the Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations, scheduled to start on April the 14th, and said he is impressed with the preparations thus far.
The Confederation of African Football wanted them to increase the number of rooms for the teams that will come here. They had 2 rooms and now they have 4. And there's a doping room, there's rooms for referees, so everything is in a good condition. Other small things are there. For instance, we came with our doctor who sees maybe we should add a table here, a tent there. Those are small things that do not need construction. A tent is not built, it's just put. So there are just small things that are yet to be done.
And the national sailing team is proceeding with preparations for the Africa Championship, scheduled to take place on August of this year in the Seychelles, with their plan being to send 10 sailors if there is adequate funds.
The preparations are proceeding well. As we told you earlier, the competition will be on August. We are still searching for sponsorship, but in training we are well. Our aim is to send 10 sailors, but that is only if we get 100% of the sponsorship. So, if the sponsorship is low, we'll reduce the number.
Being the son of Brazilian legend Ronaldinho brings its own expectations. So when João Mendes went for a trial with the Cruzeiro, he wanted to earn a place on talent alone.
The old forward did not reveal who his famous father was until he had had a successful trial and signed a training contract with the Brazilian club. Although he was the son of Ronaldinho, Mendes performed the test in the club without the knowledge of kinship, the club said. With his own talent, the young attacker was approved, and only when he was already in the club was he eventually revealed the name of the famous father. Amarildo Ribeiro, the club's director of grassroots football, added he's a player that has a good physical size, a high technical quality.
The Golden State Warriors won their final regular season game at the Oracle Arena as they beat the Los Angeles Clippers 131-104. Here are more details.
Stephen Curry scored 27 points and Kevin Durant 16 as the Warriors secured top seeding in the Western Conference. The Warriors, who have been at the Oracle Arena for 47 years, will move to a new facility in San Francisco next season. For 47 years, Warriors fans have struck with us through thick and thin, head coach Steve Kerr said on Sunday. The players wore jerseys from the so-called We Believe era when they reached the NBA playoffs in 2007-2008.
Javi Garcia thought everything was lost before his Watford side came from 2 down to beat Wolves 3-2 and reached the first FA Cup final since 1984.
Substitute Gerard Deulofeu scored twice as the Hornets, 2-0 down with 11 minutes left, won in extra time to book a meeting with Manchester City. Everything was lost, but we were able to show character, and I'm very proud of my players, said Garcia, who hailed Deulofeu as an amazing player. Matt Doherty's had a fine volley, but striker Raul Jimenez had put Wolves in control before Deulofeu conjured up a sublime chip. Captain Troy Deeney converted a stoppage time penalty to send the game to extra time, and Deulofeu then won it with another fine finish.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. On behalf of everyone who prepared this bulletin for you, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching and have a good night.